All right, let's go to the Big 12. Let's talk on a team we haven't gotten to talk about this year, but how exciting is it that this team is relevant? What a job by Kenny Dillingham and the Arizona State Sun Devils. BYU comes into town fresh off their loss against a pesky Kansas team. But let's break this one down. Let's go down to Jake first, of course, being the Big 12 guy. Give us your thoughts on this matchup.
Yep. Ball's in Arizona State's court. Arizona wins and they control their own destiny. Who would have thought this even maybe 3 weeks ago with Dillingham's group? But just goes to show the job that he has done this year. When I look at the BYU side, can you get off the mat after losing one at home that quite frankly shouldn't have happened? You know, you had the fumbled pooch punt from Jalen Daniels. You throw a horrible red zone interception. I believe that one came in the first half by Retzloff, automatically giving away 3 or 7 points. It's just, can BYU create more turnovers? I'm just not so sure on the road, because this is a group and an offense in Arizona State that can really give you a bunch of different looks. I really like what Sam Levitt has become. I was kind of skeptical about him going into the season, but now that his first season's under his belt, he really looks like he just gets comfortable with every single start that he gets on the next one. Jordan Tyson, the receiver for Arizona State's led the country in yards since week 7. Saw that stat today on Twitter. And then obviously we know about Scatabo. Like, once you can throw it through the air, then you give it to probably the best power back in all of college football, but definitely in the Big 12. So they just hit you with a bunch of different things offensively. And the defense hasn't been great, but it's aggressive. And it feels like a group that has been getting more turnovers in these last few weeks that have caused them to win these football games. And I think you can force BYU into those turnovers on the road. Close.
Muted.
No cigar.
Yeah, I'm trying to type in the chat to get some chats rolling. I'm trying to keep it all going at
mute button 2.
I know.
Boys 0.
And I'm usually the best.
We don't have a hot mic. We got a hot
up
mute.
there. However, I agree with all those points, but let's talk about Sam Levitt for a little bit. How impressive has this guy been that competed for the Michigan State job last year in a really weird spot? Coach leaves. Here comes a new guy. He wants to hit the transfer portal. He ends up at Arizona State with Jeff Sims as his backup, said to be competing for that job. And now here he is emerging with this 8-win Arizona State team with a chance to go to the Big 12 title. The dual threat quarterback playing with a ton of confidence right now. Maybe not jump off the page statistical guys on the outside, but he gets the most out of them because of how good that running game in Scatabo has been. So I really like this Arizona State offense. It's just, can they limit this BYU team who has just continued to win games that they were picked to lose in, even as a ranked team, even against unranked teams they were picked to lose. Vegas has shown BYU disrespect. Finally, everything catches up to them against a really talented, underperforming Kansas team. But in this spot, I think Arizona State fans are starting to buy back in. And when that place can get going, if you remember back in, 2018, 2017 against Oregon, when Oregon came in that place ranked in the top 10, that place can get going. And I think it's going to be a home field advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be 2004 Sun Devil Stadium, like those Arizona State teams.
Don't bring up the Jake the Snake 90s era Arizona State teams, or you're going to trigger my dad's fight or flight listening somewhere.
Iowa went down there a couple of times and hosted them one early 2000s, and that was like ruckus stuff. Like, that's the Arizona State I need to see.
Yeah, maybe bring out the old Sparky logo like we're showing on the screen. Bring out those uniforms. Yep, Arizona State by 50 if they roll out in those. So you never know. But I really like Arizona State in this spot because of how consistent the offense has been, and because of the confidence they're playing with right now. That place is going to be rocking. I love the Sun Devils. What do you think, JP?
I'm going to go back to the Sam Levitt thing because I really liked the grab by Dillingham in the offseason. I felt like I wasn't, like Jake said, he had his thoughts.
Shout out Jake the Snake. This is Jake the Snake. It was brutal.
Like Jake said, like he had some, reservations about him and some thoughts. And I thought that was completely fair considering, the place he was going. A program still trying to find its identity under a new head coach. But the guy's thrown 3 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games with 0 interceptions. They continually have proven that they're not a fluke 8-2. They're a good 8-2. Along with that, you kind of look at what they do well compared to what, BYU does well defensively. BYU is well-rounded defensively, but they've then shown in certain games to just get in shootouts out of nowhere, right? A big play here, a big play there, the inability to get off the field there. And they've been good at it. The pass defense is what's been best for BYU, in my opinion. numbers base would kind of tell you the same thing or the opposite. But I feel like when they really slow teams down on the run game, they get better and better in the pass because that BYU secondary has gotten better. And on the flip side, like BYU might have a chance to make some plays downfield with Retzloff and these receivers because they've done it all year against just about anybody, it feels. They've kind of stifled a couple weeks here. But Arizona State is good defensively. They're very good against the run. They obviously see a ton of teams throw the ball a ton against them. They're pretty good at keeping things in front of them. But when you bring in, I think this is a kind of a step up in most cases of what Arizona State's seen on the edge, and a better quarterback who's not, really scared to just sling it around. And so that's the dangerous part, I think, is if he's slinging it around and hitting his throws, it's good. Like they're going to be very good. So BYU in a spot where it feels like you can you escape another one? That's all I'm saying. Like it's as simple as that. Like you're a good team, but you continually stay in these tight games when you don't need to be. You need to now escape another one coming off, a loss that you feel like you shouldn't have had.
All right, Reese, give us your thoughts and break down this matchup.
I mean, you look at Arizona State's schedules, all the wins they have, like they're competitive football games, rather than the Oklahoma State game they won by 3 scores. But everything is around a touchdown, if not around 10. So I mean, getting them at home, I feel like this is a huge help for them. But I think BYU, I mean, if you really want to prove what your team is about, like this game was like you went on the road and you beat a ranked team in their place. Like this is a statement win you can get to try to get yourself into that college football argument. If you drop it, I think your case goes down pretty quick. Kansas is playing better football lately. We've seen it. But I mean, that loss last week looks a little rougher, I think, especially with that offense that's averaging about 32 a game, only going and scoring 14. So I can think it shows there are weaknesses to that football team. They got to go in here and they got to be successful. Arizona State, you guys talk about Sam Levitt, Scatterbo, all those guys. I think offensively, they're going to have all the firepower to get them going. BYU's got to show up in there defensively a little more, but I lean the Sun Devils in this spot. I just think we talk about the training schedule and all that stuff, but I just lean an Arizona State team that's playing very well right now.
That's a fair point to make. Looking at Arizona State's schedule, you got to give them a little credit there too, because you have some teams that play really bad teams throughout the preseason or the early season. But Mississippi State on your schedule, when they scheduled that game, Mississippi State wasn't as bad as they're viewed now and rebuilding like they are. But to play a talented Texas State team on the road like they did, like they're a little bit more battle tested than I think the rest of the country because of that non-con. What were you going to say, JP?
I was just going to say this game's kind of a travesty at 2:30.
Yeah, it should be nice.
Yeah, that just Tempe doesn't scream day games to me.
This is the perfect build for those 9:15 slots that these teams both always have. This is a perfect 9:15 kick.
I agree.
For these two teams.
I think this is actually a 12:30 game their time because they don't do daylight savings.
Yeah, but it's only an hour back now in Arizona, so it's
but you don't do
confused me over there.
But they don't do daylight savings
time. We're talking about Central Time. It's Central
Time. I know.
It's night.
But you said
night.
It's an early kick for them. They're kind of rolling around.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, let me be very clear here, Jake. I was just in Arizona. It's an hour back right now. It's not the 2 hours like it normally is because we flipped our clocks. Now it's only an hour difference. So it's 1:30 kick.
Oh, so it's the opposite.
Yes.
What?
So it's not 2 hours back when we flip our clocks.
So the next time
the 2 is 1.
All backwards.
Yep. -2 -1 1:30 kick. Book it. All right. That is Arizona State and BYU. Let's go roundtable style score predictions. Who wins? Who covers? We talked a lot about the Sun Devils. You got them winning, Jake?
Yeah, I think they're just playing their best football right now. Although this feels like the best passing quarterback that they've seen probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So that's an interesting factor. But I'm saying Arizona State.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Their best.
I just want to throw his name out there. Keep his NIL money rolling in Nebraska.
They're
Buy
one
the
Jeff
Amigos combo.
Hey, Sam Levitt's not hurting that Cincinnati game. This team could be one loss. But no, I like Arizona State in this one. I do think like that place is going to be rocking. And I do think they're going to come out and punch BYU in the mouth.
I love that. All right. So Arizona State to win and cover, Jake. Put me on that team as well. I think this is the time for the Sun Devils to backdoor their way, hopefully, into the Big 12 title. That's my opinion as a de facto fan, but this offense has been so impressive. I'm so impressed with what Kenny Dillingham's done with this squad and what they've turned them into. I think they're going to be successful for a long time if they can win games like this and keep that fan base invested. I think they do so this weekend and win and cover JP.
Reese, where are you going?
He didn't ask me. He asked you, Jordan.
That's fine. I got to make up ground on the ATS board. I'm not confident in it, but I'll go BYU here.
All right. So BYU to cover and win, or you think it could be maybe a 1 point Arizona State win?
I'll take a win as well. Why not?
All
It's
right.
3 points. I got to make up ground on the board.
So you're making a 2-2 split, Reese, or are you going to ride with the Sun Devils?
I'm
and
going with the Sun Devils. They're going to win and they're going to cover.
All right. I like it. However, I've been on the winning side of betting BYU when they're picked as a higher ranked team as an underdog on the road. I don't think that happens this week. Let's pray it doesn't happen for the sake of us three, and then JP can benefit from it if it does. But that is the matchup in the Big 12. We will get to talk on the Big 12 again later.